It's over 9,000!
Welcome, Super Elite Warriors, to Final Forum, a podcast for the discussion of all things Dragon Ball. I am your host, Jelli, an elite recruiting member of the Frieza Force on a mission to find the best warriors from across the galaxy to join the greatest army of all time. And I am joined, as always, by my new recruit co-host.
This is the Bekinney.
And after calibrating our ventilation systems, we are on final approach to K2-332.
Why don't you tell them why?
Because we're on a mission to find the best warriors from across the galaxy to join the great... Don't you listen? I said that in the introduction.
That's not what I meant.
Oh, well, we're also on a mission given by Lord Frieza himself to find the planet Earth. And K2-332 is one I have proposed might be Earth.
Also, not at all what I meant. Why don't you tell them why we had to recalibrate the ventilation systems?
Because we had to blow out the air ducts. That seems self-explanatory.
And why did we have to blow out the air ducts?
Oh, right. That.
Yeah. That.
It's because Bekinney soiled himself in there.
That's not what I meant!
Oh. What did you mean, then?
An infant of the bobbin worm species we found back on Kepler 452b stowed away on our ventilation system and then ate my insides. And yes, as it did, it crawled through where my body makes waste, and some of it got onto the floor.
Oh. Yeah, this again. Listeners, Bekinney thinks he died again.
Think? I did. We had to blow my old body out of the duct system.
According to you, yeah.
Do you get paid to be this ignorant?
I don't get paid at all. I do this for the sheer joy of it.
Well, that's just sad. Hey, look! I see the planet, and... Shit.
Edited by Lord Frieza for our listeners' safety.
What?
Well, as you can see on this automated computer readout, the planet is tidally locked.
So
it doesn't spin around its own axis. One side gets baked in its sun, and the other side freezes. It can't be Earth.
Well, we still need to check it out.
What? Why?
Because there are quite a few life readings down there. Big power levels.
Oh. Yay.
As we prepare our final descent, let's descend into this week's topic. And this week, we'll be talking about 3 more episodes of the Dragon Ball anime, which will be episodes 136, 137, and 138, if I am counting correctly.
You are indeed counting correctly. So, we will start this week with episode 136, titled Tien Shinhan versus Mercenary Tao. Round 2 of the tournament is kicking off, and we have a real barn burner here. Tien versus Tao. Our fighters take the stage with everyone looking on. Mr. Announcer wastes no time, but let's get some reaction shots before the fight begins. Oh, and then we'll switch perspectives to the old dweeb watching Crazy Lady warm up. He tries to make some small talk, but she seems uninterested. Back on the stage, our fighters still have not moved. Even the crowd is getting a little antsy now. So what's going on? Well, it would seem our top 8 fighters have all reached a level where the fights can be decided before either fighter even makes a move. They examine each other for weaknesses before making an attempt to strike. It would seem Tien has the better form, however, and the edge early in this match. Our boys are still statues, and now even Mr. Announcer is starting to get impatient. Crane Hermit tries some underhanded mind games, playing on their history in Tien's own mind. This causes a momentary break in Tien's defense, and Tao immediately strikes. It doesn't matter much, however, as Tien clearly outclasses him. Tien tries to resolve their grievances peacefully, but Tao isn't having it. There's a flurry of beautifully animated action. Then Tien gives Tao a final warning. Please step down. I don't want to embarrass you. Tao obviously declines. Looks like Tien should twist his arm a little. Unfortunately, that arm comes off. And Tao is now armed with a deadly weapon. He draws first blood, but now Tien is properly motivated, and Tao is kind of, disqualified himself. But anyways, Mr. Announcer and even Yamcha try to step in, but Tien resolves to end this fight himself. Tao tries to turn him into a shish kebab, but Tien breaks his blade with his bare hand. It looks like Tao is finished, but he has one more ace up his sleeve, literally. The Super Dodonpa. Tao kind of milks the villain monologue here a little bit. His ray gun takes a long time to charge up, I guess. But he fires at his first opportunity. What's this? Tien is completely unharmed. He yelled the Super Dodonpa out of existence. One supersonic punch later, and Tao is done. Tien advances. He returns Tao Pai Pai to the Crane Hermit and tells him to never show their faces again. Next up, Goku vs. Crazy Lady, which is episode 137, titled Anonymous Proposal. So just who is this angry woman anyway? Nobody seems to have any idea, and she seems to think Goku has done wrong by her. The match starts, and she wastes no time. She confirms that she and Goku have met before, and she seems to be a capable fighter in her own right. In fact, Roshi thinks her style is very reminiscent of his own. She keeps talking about a broken promise when Goku finally stumbles upon the right question. What do you want from me? She replies, to make me your bride. Everyone is shocked by the news, except for Goku, who really doesn't seem to know what a bride is. After a terrible explanation on what marriage is, Goku asks her directly for her name. However, she will only reveal it if he wins. Why not just tell him and save us all some time? Anyway, everyone is still stumped except for Oolong, who seems to have figured it out. He doesn't share the answer with anyone, though, so there's a better than even chance that he's bluffing. But Bekinney, I hear you asking, why would she want to marry a man after he beats her in a public place? Not to worry. Goku technically never lays a hand on her, and my lawyer says that's enough to walk. Goku pushes this mystery woman from the ring with an air shockwave created from his fist. She still lands pretty hard, though. While she recovers, Mr. Announcer gets a recap, and Ma Jr. points out that the technique Goku used is similar to that of the Mazaku. So who's our mystery girl? Why, it's Chi-Chi, of course. This jogs the idiot's memory, and he decides to follow through on his promise. What a quarterfinal. We've had family breakup and a family makeup. Krillin has a crack up, and considering how strong-willed Chi-Chi is, Goku's going to need backup. Chi-Chi reintroduces herself to the rest of the Kamen crew after the match, and then runs off to buy cookware. We'll just cruise right by all the implications there and move on to the next match. Krillin versus Ma Jr. Goku warns Krillin not to waste his time and that this guy is pretty tough. But there's no way Krillin loses again, right? Krillin also wastes no time at the beginning of the match, using his best techniques and revealing a few new ones, like flying, before Ma Jr. starts to take the fight seriously. And then we're kind of left with a little bit of a cliffhanger there with Piccolo sort of like warning him. And that brings us to episode 138, which is titled The Mysterious Hero. So it's Ma Jr. versus Krillin, and so far Krillin is keeping pace. Could he win? Ma Jr. doesn't seem to think so. He warns Krillin to stand down, but Krillin's pride can't abide. He goes on the offensive, but Ma Jr. just strings him along. Or rubber bands him, I guess, with the whole stretchy limb thing. What follows is an exchange that flies into the air, fires off a Kamehameha, and finishes with Ma Jr. making the only successful volleyball-based attack in tournament history. Despite all this, Krillin still manages to weather the attack, but ultimately submits and loses the match. However, he wins the heart of the crowd and a little respect from his opponent. Roshi reflects on how far Krillin has come, and Krillin leaves the ring to a round of heavy applause. Next up is Yamcha and the goofy old man who goes by the moniker Shen. Bulma and Puar are excited for Yamcha, as this will likely be his first time advancing past the opening round. Yajirobe, on the other hand, seems confident of Shen's abilities. Goku also seems a bit perplexed by this man, who is probably the most unorthodox fighter we've ever seen. Shen seems to luck into landing his blows on his opponents. Or does he? This guy's entry into the tournament seems like a joke, but Yamcha's the one who's becoming the punchline. Shen takes pity on Yamcha and decides to show his true abilities. Yamcha also decides to go all out, but it doesn't seem to make any difference. Shen is just too good. Will Yamcha's losing streak remain unbroken?
Listeners, I lied. And when I said we were going to do 3 episodes, I know Bekinney is actually ready for this. So we're doing a 4th episode. We're doing episode 139 as well, please.
Yeah, because we've got to see how this fight turns out, right?
Yeah, that's why.
So episode 139 is titled Rematch. So Yamcha's in another tight spot. I guess we shouldn't be surprised, but it's still kind of disappointing. At least the art quality has stepped up a bit. Literally everyone except Yajirobe seems stunned by this turn of events. The match has become something akin to a private lesson, with Shen pointing out all of Yamcha's shortcomings. They have a bit of a heart-to-heart, with Shen admitting that he isn't actually human, and Yamcha responding with a new energy attack, the Sokidan. In what is probably the best animated scene so far in the show, we're treated to a fluid action shot of Yamcha's energy, I guess, drone? I'm going to go with drone. It's basically a remote-controlled energy ball. He manages a devastating blow on Shen, but it doesn't matter as he's immediately countered with a ring-out punch. With Yamcha taken out of the competition, the gears start to click in Goku's brain, and he realizes that Shen is actually Kami. Up next, we have the start of the semifinals. Tien versus Goku. This will be a fight for the ages, folks. Both fighters are eager to test themselves against each other, going full throttle right from the start. The battle quickly takes to the sky with a flurry of blows, but neither fighter has landed one. The exchange continues as they fall back to Earth, where the fight leaves the realm of human vision. Can I just say, Toriyama, you're a genius. Man figured out a way to not even have to draw his own comic. Oh, they're so fast you can't see them. Amazing. The fight continues, but neither fighter has landed a hit. But there's one big difference. Tien looks way more tired than Goku. How will this shake out? We'll have to find out next week.
Yes, we'll find out in our next episode. For real,
yeah, these episodes get a little weird because they start to chunk the fights where half is in one episode and then the other half is in another episode.
For real, that was the last one. For us.
We technically don't want to start the semifinals yet.
Yeah. These episodes are great.
Oh, they're so good.
Like 10 out of 10 no notes,
Yeah, absolutely.
These are some excellent episodes. Just a couple things real quick. You mentioned Tien yelling away the Dodonpa.
Yeah.
I actually have something about that, but I'm going to save it because we're going to see other characters yell or stare away explosions in the future. And again, we've talked about doing this before. Let's maybe save something that I kind of have something juicy for some of these future installments where maybe we have less cultural depth to them potentially.
Yeah, makes sense.
Is this where Goku asks if a bride tastes good?
Yeah, he seems to think that a bride is some kind of food.
Yeah. Which hey Goku, I mean, the answer is yes.
Fair enough.
That's the bluest we ever work. We don't usually work blue, but I couldn't resist that one.
No, I get it. It's good.
Where has Crane Hermit been? He suddenly shows up here. Where has he been? Toriyama is asked about this in between the end of the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai and writing this at some point. And he basically says, I don't know, plotting his revenge. And it's entirely possible that question is what makes him remember the character still exists and hasn't really been defeated and thus bring him back.
Yeah, I like that idea. That's a good one.
That's it's sometime before he writes this, someone is like, hey, what happened to that guy? He got doesn't Master Roshi does he Kamehameha him away, or he does something and he shoots off into the sky?
I think he just flies off, honestly.
And that's the last time we see him, and yeah, someone is like, hey, what happened to him? And Toriyama's like, hey, yeah, what did happen to him? So here, it's made explicit, finally, that the other characters trained under Korin. They actually say it in this one. Again, we never see this, even in the anime, but we did see Goku go through it, so we know some of what it must have entailed. We don't know for sure whether they drank that super divine water or not, but again, given their dramatic increases in power, we have to assume they probably have. They're all better at sensing ki. They're maybe not as skilled at Goku at the moment, but now Goku has done a lot after drinking the super god water. You know, he has refined his skills with Kami and Piccolo, Mr. Popo. What's with all the love angles, though? Bulma is crushing on Goku, like in that episode where is it during all these? At one point, she's like, "Ooh, boy, I should have never gone after Yamcha. I should have gone with."
I'm
Goku.
pretty sure it starts when he shows up and they don't recognize him.
Yeah, that's when it starts. She has comments at other times though, where she's like, "Ooh, think of all those years I wasted on Yamcha. Look at this guy." And you're like, golly, like, way to be...
Yamcha taking L's and he's not even there.
Way to be fickle, lady. Chi-Chi and Goku are getting married. Launch has it for Tien real bad. It's like it's all over the place all of a sudden. It's because Torishima is pushing for them. Toriyama is including this stuff to appease his editor, but he's pushing it to these, like, a lot of times lesser characters because he hates writing it himself. In fact, Toriyama even says in an interview about Dr. Slump, this is when he's writing Dr. Slump, and he's asked, like, oh boy, I don't remember all the names of the characters, but like the police officer is dating a girl, and there's a few other like romances going on. Toriyama says, quote, "My editor Torishima-san loves love and romance, which is a problem. Frankly, writing romance gives me hives. Movies, too. When they get sappy, I shut my eyes." Unquote. Yeah, this is all Torishima stuff. And so if you're ever wondering why it seems like the romantic angles of Dragon Ball are never, like, fully explored or any of it, it's because Toriyama doesn't want, like, he doesn't like that.
I think the better question is, Toriyama, who hurt you? Who hurt you, man?
I don't know. He's happily married.
I know, which is why I'm just kind of surprised. I don't know. I guess it's a personality thing.
Maybe not happily. You don't know.
Oh dang! Let's not theorize about that too much.
Suddenly, people are like, Toriyama hates his wife.
You heard it here first, folks. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
But yeah, that's like, because people have been like, there's been a lot of times where people are like, we never saw Bulma actually like fall for Vegeta. We never saw them actually get together. They just suddenly are together. And, you know, we never saw Goku and Chi-Chi in the manga. You don't ever see them actually get married. They just are eventually married and have kids. And it's because Toriyama isn't interested in family love stuff.
Yeah, until somebody slaps Bulma, and then it's all bets are off.
But, and that, you know, I also think if you're writing for an audience generally of younger boys, I don't think they really want to see that either. Like, they don't want to see characters get pregnant and then have the baby, and they don't want to see birth scenes where characters are like, oh, I love this baby. Like, young boys don't want to see that. They want to...
Yeah, they just want to see people punch each other. They're little psychopaths.
So I'm fine with it. Toriyama says at one point that Torishima was pushing for Goku and Bulma to get together, which Bullet dodged.
Yeah,
Bullet dodged.
That man has a terrible sense of romance, if that's the case, because that is like the worst pairing.
They're so much better as just like friends. I think we might have talked about this before, maybe, because like I feel like I remember mentioning on this podcast, I love the idea that Goku is constantly bribing people with Bulma's money, even though they're not married. Like, it wouldn't be as funny if they were married, and he was like, yeah, my wife will just give you some money.
Yeah, it would just be him, like, solving problems for people with all of his money.
Yeah. Instead, he's constantly like, he's like, yeah, no, I'll get you 10 million zenny. Bulma, do you got 10 million zenny? And it's like...
Yeah.
It's great. So then when Crane Hermit reaches out to Tien telepathically, we see Tien's tenme glance over at his former master. This tells us that his eyes can operate independently, and also drives further home that the tenme is the one associated with telepathy and the supernormal powers, which we talked about extensively during our Tien episode. Go back and give that one a spin. This even further is even further driven home when Tien can see the aura around Piccolo during his fight with Krillin. He's using his tenme to see the ki aura around people. The blades in Tao Pai Pai's arms this is like a typical kung fu movie thing where the bad guy pulls a sneaky blade out of somewhere to attack. It's without honor, but it gets results. If you're watching a kung fu movie, this is where it'll kill the good guy in the moment if it's like a lesser character, or if it's the main character, it'll be like a wound, possibly a serious wound that helps ratchet up the tension of the moment if it's like the main hero. The example that comes most obviously to mind, but it's certainly not like a blade in the hand, is, though, Enter the Dragon. Where the guy has like the claw that he wears.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the example that like comes most readily to my mind.
Huh. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. So, Tien is scarred from this battle. This is a clear sign, unlike Yamcha's scars, which are just a design feature and go to show that Tien's prior life left a mark on him forever. He had to commit a penance to be redeemed, which he finally is, but his body now bears the scars of that redemption. Goku will get almost literally shattered to pieces in future fights, but he never gets any scars. This is because Goku's pain is not ever a result of his own misdeeds or any kind of penance. Tien's, on the other hand, serves as a reminder of what happens when you follow the wrong path. Anonymous, in Japanese, is Tokume Kibo. Tokube means anonymous or name withheld, and Kibo means hope. She's Anonymous Hope. We could talk a bit more about Chi-Chi, but we already have, so maybe let's save that for a Chi-Chi revisited discussion someday. Piccolo's eye beams are likely inspired by those seen in any number of tokusatsu films and shows, especially the alien monsters in Ultraman. The stretchy arms likely come from Master of the Flying Guillotine, which inspired the initial idea behind the tournament in part, so I guess it makes sense. We could probably talk more about Ma Jr., but again, maybe we can have some of that for the stretches of Z where there's like filler or something. Maybe,
yeah. So, I think it's interesting, when we have this thing here about Tien being scarred from this battle, I don't know if we have any listeners who are like following along with us and are very unfamiliar with the rest of Dragon Ball. If we are, I guess spoilers. But something that pops up with Vegeta that keeps happening over and over is every time he gets hurt, and this is like, it's become like an internet meme. Like every time he's in a serious battle and he gets hurt, his left arm like dangles down at his side, and he's like holding his left arm. And people say like it's from when Android 18 kicked him and like broke his arm. And everyone's like, yeah, well that's great, but isn't the sensu bean supposed to like heal you?
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's like kind of a similar, if you could put sort of a similar thing as Tien's scar on it. Like this is Vegeta's constant wound, his constant like penance for the sins of his past is that his like left arm is easily breakable.
Or easily dislocated, maybe.
Yeah. I think also, I'm sure this will come up again. I mean, we won't get into these later episodes of Z and Super and stuff where his arm gets broken again and again for probably another 5 years or something. So it won't even feel like a repeat unless you're an absolute maniac listening to us 10 years later and just episode after episode. In which case I salute you.
Yes,
but,
you absolute Chad.
But, just because... what are they? Your broken arm heals. It is just as likely. It's like more likely to break there again, isn't it?
Elsewhere, no, it's less likely to break there.
Oh,
like when you break a bone and it gets fused back together, that is supposed to be stronger than all of the bone around it.
Oh, but then you could just break the bone right around it easily.
Yeah, probably.
Because Because it's kind of like that thing of like, okay, you fix this. This is really strong now, but right next to it is it's like you now almost like by fixing this piece so much, you've made the thing next to it seem like an even bigger potential failure point.
Sure, yeah.
It's like
I could see that.
This is physics. This is stresses. This is we took this class. Was this called statics?
Yeah. I think that's what it was called. Could you imagine that being an actual statics problem? Vegeta breaks his arm 6 inches from his shoulder, and it's fused back together.
He then gets pressure applied 4 inches from his shoulder.
Where is the break likely to occur? So you're looking up Saiyan bone density in the back of the book.
Or if you're me, you're shaking off having gone out for Thirsty Thursday just before class.
I don't know what you're talking about there. Never done that.
Kami's chosen vessel, Shen. He resembles Ichiro Arashima from the movie King Kong vs. Godzilla, and as that movie is a satire of salarymen and salaryman lifestyle, it actually makes sense. It might be an actual intentional homage. In the film, Arashima plays the character Mr. Taco. He is a fan favorite, he is an absolute highlight of the film in terms of humor. He steals pretty much every scene that he's in. He is incredible. He's got this great moment where when they're bringing Kong back from his island, he's on a raft and he helicopters in. He's like lowered down on a helicopter and it's all like slow and everything. And then when he lands, he's like, "Banzai!" And like, and he's got these great like facial reactions to everything. They've got the raft that Kong is being floated on rigged up with explosives because like if he, goes crazy and we think he's going to sink our little tugboat that's carrying Kong, we're going to blow up the raft and try and kill Kong. And they've got the classic like Looney Tunes almost-esque like plunger for the dynamite on the deck of the ship. And he almost leans on it several times and it's like, ah! It's really good stuff. In Japan, I'm sure we've mentioned before, but a salaryman he's your typical 9-to-5 office drone. But it does go a little beyond that, as your salaryman, your typical salaryman, is driven by that prototypical Japanese work ethic, and thus they live a life devoted entirely to their meaningless office job with no prospects outside of work, and the value of their life is determined by their stature in their job. This is a post-World War II phenomenon in Japan, and the stereotype exists to this day. There's a lot of post-war movies. Kurosawa does a lot of like picking on the salaryman culture as it started bubbling up in the immediate post-war period, and this is a stereotype that exists in Japan to this day, and a lot of stuff plays off of this, of people being satisfied or not satisfied in their salaryman life. And that's, even Toriyama was kind of, I don't know, victim of this. I don't know if that's the right word.
A little bit, like early on when he was doing, what was it, the sales stuff?
Yeah, he was doing like ads. Yeah. He was like expected to be a salaryman. He was expected to constantly show up to work and like do his job every day and be happy about doing his job, and he hated it. Salaryman lifestyle in Japan's a big thing. Every Japanese person in the audience would get that that's what Shen is. The Sokidan is a key technique developed by Yamcha, and it becomes a signature technique of his. Sokidan means reeling ki bullet, with reel used in the sense of reeling out a line, like a fishing line, and as we see, Yamcha can control the Sokidan as if it's on a string. This is likely from the movie Zoo Warriors of the Magic Mountain, which is kind of funny. We saw that movie previously mentioned, referenced previously by the anime staff during the Goku and Demon Land episode, where the one character looks just like the antagonist of that movie. And here we're seeing it being referenced actually by Toriyama himself. So it's kind of like this is a case of, we've talked about this like a couple times. The anime staff is so much picking up the references that Toriyama's putting down that they're
adding their own. Yeah.
That they are sometimes adding their own, which are things that Toriyama does or would reference anyways. In the movie, which is still just as awesome as the last time I watched it. And this is like a movie that we're going to have to do someday as like a commentary. And I don't care that there's like probably nobody from Dragon Ball that actually worked on it. Tough. we're just going to watch it cause it's awesome. Years from now, I'm sure probably, but characters in the movie can control blasts of energy with their hands. It's great stuff.
Nice. Going back briefly to Ma Jr., this is one of those things where language is important. He's using Ma, which we know means demon, but he's using a different kanji or katakana. As stupid gaijin, we get confused by the two. While Piccolo Daimao used the other, so it's the same sound, but it's technically a different word. It's like wordplay, basically. So too is Shen, the character who is ultimately revealed to be Kami. Shen is the pronunciation of Kami in older dialects, essentially. This is the same thing that causes Goku's name to be mispronounced in the first tournament. Depending on your pronunciation, use of katakana or kanji, and dialect, you can get a variety of different sounds from the same symbols or same sounds from different symbols with different meanings. It's a way for these characters to hide in plain sight, essentially. Sure, Toriyama's readers probably pick up on it easily, but in a world where there are all kinds of people with names like this and Wolfman people walking around and gremlins and goblins and also Dracula and all kinds of stuff, this is kind of how these characters can stay true to themselves while not giving away their identities. We'll talk a little bit more about Shen in an upcoming episode. However, as mentioned, he is ultimately revealed as being Kami. It's important that he faces off against Yamcha. Yamcha has the subconscious spirit of a wolf. Wolf Fang Fist is one of his signature moves, and wolves are important in Shinto culture. Wolves are seen as sacred guardian kami because they attack deer and wild boar that ruin farmland. In fact, the word for wolf is a homophone for the word great god in Japanese. Both are okami. We have a battle of okami versus okami.
Yeah. Yeah, going back to the Ma Jr. thing, this is like that. Like, I can kind of get there. I don't know about you. I can kind of get like, this is a world where everyone, not everyone, but lots of people have like green skin and stuff like that. And so if you just saw a green skinned dude, especially because remember, Piccolo Jr. or Ma Jr. is wearing a turban on his head, which Demon King Piccolo did not do.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you saw someone like that, you'd be like, oh, it's just like, this is like a guy. Like, yeah, he's got green skin. So does a lot of other people. Like, so does that dude. That dude is
that person
that dude's
is
a
bear
dog
that wears clothes. Like, yeah, okay, sure.
I can get there with that. So if you were listening here and you heard that wolves stave off wild boars and you thought of Princess Mononoke, congratulations, you're thinking correctly. That movie, which was directed by Hayao Miyazaki and from Studio Ghibli, is about a clash between gods of the forest and humans who consume its resources. It deals with Shintoism and environmentalism and the Emishi, an indigenous marginalized group in Japan, who were essentially wiped out via clashes with the Yamato throughout the 700s and subsequent assimilation into wider Japanese society. The Yamato are the group that is today considered to comprise over like 98% of the population of Japan. In obviously now at this point, over 1,000 years ago, Japan was very differently made up, and there were these tribes. One of them was the Emishi. They just were defeated and became like part of the Yamato tribe. I'm sure there's probably more of a
The history is probably more nuanced than that, but
yes, and probably a little bit.
Neither of us are scholars of Japanese history, unfortunately.
It's probably given how we know history works. When you have tribes of people who war with each other and then become one big tribe, there's probably some fairly unsavory parts of how that happened.
Yeah.
But that's human history. Interesting. I found this interesting as I was looking into wolves and such. For over 1,000 years, wolves became intertwined with Shinto religion as messengers and protectors of the gods, as the religion became more formalized and established throughout the 8th century. But then, so that's in the 700s. But then in 1736, as Japanese interactions with China and Korea increased, rabies were introduced to the country and quickly spread across the nation. During the Meiji Restoration in 1868, the rampancy of rabies among the wolf population became so prevalent that killing wolves became a national policy. That you just killed wolves on sight. And in fact, the emperor at the time, like, declared and put out decrees and stuff, like putting teams together to go hunt wolves just for the purpose of killing them because of rabies being so rampant. By 1905, so from 1868, by 1905, the Japanese wolf was essentially extinct. There's still occasionally people say that there's sightings and things. I think less so these days, but like that was like, it's kind of one of those, like, the wolf in Japan almost became like almost Bigfoot? Like the Bigfoot of America, yeah. Glimpsed in the shadows, and you would see things, and like, I'm sure for a while in Japan, I would imagine it's probably not super common, but like the wolf is extinct, but you see like you're drunk and you see like a big ass dog like run through the fog or something. You're like, I saw a wolf last night. That's where like all these cryptid stories come from, or most of them. The craziest cryptid story. Okay. You know of Chupacabra, right?
Of course.
Everyone knows about Chupacabra.
The goat sucker.
How far back do you think the legend of Chupacabra actually extends?
I don't know.
What if I told you right around 1997?
Really?
Yes. And what if I told you that the first story of Chupacabra was a person attempting to describe the plot of the movie Species to someone else? Because that's...
So you're telling me Chupacabra is a thing because of the movie Species?
Yes.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess at least something positive came out of that movie.
The first time I heard that, I was floored. I was like, come on. It's true, though.
Really? Like, how do we know that? Because I could swear I've heard of Chupacabra before 1997.
I thought I had, too, but trust me, you haven't. It's like a Mandela effect thing.
That's pretty funny.
I think it's one of those things where it might be partially true that there's been some kind of story about like a spirit or something that has attacked goats, but like very, very, very infrequently said, and also not explicitly called Chupacabra until Species.
Well, thanks for that, Species.
So
much appreciated.
We just love ruining things for people here on Final Forum.
Yeah.
You thought witches flew because brooms are cool or something. You thought Tanuki were just these cute little creatures. You thought Chupacabra was an old legend. Nope, it's dildos, ball sacks, and the movie Species.
Which, weirdly enough, actually is kind of thematic with the first two.
That was one of those movies when I was, because I would have been 12 years old. That was one of those movies I desperately wanted to see as a 12-year-old boy.
And then you see it and you went, why?
Well, I'm pretty sure when I saw it when I was probably 13, I was like, various parts of it, I was like, this is exactly what I was hoping for.
Yeah, that probably tracks.
So I probably thought it was great. Again, I was in it for something a little bit different. It was pre-internet, people.
It was much harder to see a naked woman back in those days.
Those moldy old scraps of Playboys that you would find in the warehouse just didn't always get it done.
Victoria's Secret catalogs coming in the mail.
The swimsuit edition.
Oh, yeah.
This is Final Form After Dark, ladies and gents. We mentioned this last time. I just thought maybe we bring this up again. I don't know. I didn't have like a good idea for an open topic of discussion. I feel like we've just done some of that throughout this episode.
Yeah, a little bit.
This isn't the first time we've revealed that characters go through the same thing we've seen Goku struggle with. Yamcha and Krillin trained under Roshi. Now everyone trains under Korin. In the future, we'll see characters train under Kami, at heightened gravity, in the Room of Spirit and Time, with King Kai, etc., etc., etc. But we never see their journey to get there, as we did with Goku. Like, we don't ever see anyone else take 3 months to go down Snake Way, like we did with Goku. Does this cheapen Goku's experience for you at all?
No, because I think for Goku's portion of the story, it's more about the journey than the result. And I feel like going back and redoing those journeys with other characters would kind of just make the story drag a little bit. Plus, like, we do get to see some snippets. I don't know about in the manga because I haven't read it recently, but I know in like the anime we get some shots of like Krillin, Tien, and Yamcha training with Kami. We see them training with King Kai. We even get like little snippets of the actual training, and those are more, I guess they're entertaining because they're not Goku. They don't react to things the way that Goku does.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times it's pretty funny to get the reactions to things.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, ultimately I think for Goku, the journey is the point. And for everyone else's story, it's more about how the characters work to exemplify the traits that he has.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I got 2 other points I'll make. The first being one that you said last episode. Generally speaking, Goku, whenever he goes through these things, is like the youngest person to ever go through them.
Yeah.
Up until we start seeing children play with the Super Saiyan transformation like it's a... but
it's a child's toy now at this point.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, a lot of times that's kind of he's usually like the youngest person that goes through a lot of this. So these characters had to work a lot harder to get to that point. Mm-hmm. Kind of feeding off of that is stuff like, okay, we saw Goku climb Korin Tower, meet Master Korin, fall down Korin Tower because Korin does he throw the Dragon Ball over the side and Goku has to go get it? I think that's it.
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
Climb back up Korin Tower. And then, like, train with Master Korin and get the regular divine water, not the super, just the regular. Mm-hmm. That process took him fewer than 3 days.
Yeah.
Yamcha, Krillin, and Tien take 3 years to go do that.
Yeah.
And even if
the other thing I want to point out really quick,
I was just say even if you talk about the super divine water, well, again, Goku did that about a year after the original divine. It took these guys
something like that. Yeah,
it took these guys 3 years.
Mm-hmm. The thing that I wanted to point out also is that I believe technically Goku is also weaker when he completes these feats compared to the other characters.
Yeah, it's like
like they're already at a further along point in their development when they complete those tasks than Goku was.
Yes. It's like the idea of when Goku goes Super Saiyan. How do I want to phrase this? By the time this is a better way to phrase this. By the time Vegeta goes Super Saiyan, his base form is way, way stronger than Goku's was when Goku went Super Saiyan.
Exactly. That's exactly the point I'm making.
Yes. That's for people who like only watches, like that's a perfect example. Like by the time Vegeta was more than strong enough to be a Super Saiyan, he just couldn't emotionally or spiritually break through that barrier.
And I think that's the defining trait for Goku, is that spirituality. Like we've been saying since like episode 1, he sees the truth in things way faster than anybody else does.
Right. So he doesn't.
So while they might be stronger when they go to complete those tasks, the reason why he was able to do it sooner and at a lower power level is because he saw the truth in those tasks.
Yes, exactly. He doesn't need to be as physically strong to overcome the super divine water because he is mentally and spiritually so strong already. Yeah.
Look at us having proper media literacy.
So take that, everyone in the world.
And space.
Yeah, in the universe. That's all I got for today.
Yeah, that's all I got too.
This seems like a good place to set down.
In the habitable zone of the planet? Yeah, I'd say so.
So would I, which is why I'm saying it. Thanks for agreeing with me.
Do you get sarcasm?
What I get and what I choose to ignore aren't mutually exclusive. Or they are. Or I'm too tired to figure out the right way to snap back to your comment.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
In any event, as we get set to disembark and head out and explore K2-332, we'll take our leave of you, listeners.
Oh, not cutting before some wild cliffhanger ending? How unlike you.
I can't plan cliffhangers out. Wait, what's that on our scope?
What?
Multiple bio readings bearing down on us. We've got company.
Company? From the readout, it looks like an army. My scouter's going crazy.
What will this army, as Bekinney calls it, be like? What exciting adventure awaits us? Find out next time and help us achieve our final forum.
Final Form is written and produced by Tom Gwelly. It is performed by Dan Kinney and Tom Gwelly. Our webmaster is Dan Kinney. Our theme music is provided by YouTube content creator GVG Kid. Want to learn more about the Dragon Ball universe, including concept art, behind-the-scenes interviews, and recommendations from Jelli and Bekinney? Connect with us on social media. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Final Forum Pod. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you receive your podcasts. And of course, make sure to share it with your friends and family and help us spread the word of the glory of Lord Frieza. The Frieza Force thanks you for your listenership.